Hi, my name is Mike, and you join me on a very depressing and very typical Vancouver day. But I'm nice and dry and warm inside the all-new 2020 Nissan Sentra. Now, at the time that I'm filming this, Nissan isn't doing so great. First off, it's May 2020, so there's a pandemic going on, so all the manufacturers aren't doing so great. Nissan had the Carlos Ghosn scandal. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. If you don't know about that, Google it. It's a really fascinating story. It's straight out of a Hollywood movie. In fact, I'm pretty sure somebody's working on a screenplay right now. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And also, a lot of Nissan's models are quite old. The Nissan Murano came out in 2015. The 370Z and GTR are over a decade old. But Nissan is trying to change things around. Last year, they introduced the all-new Nissan Altima. And this year, the Nissan Sentra is all new. So is it worth your hard-earned money? Well, let's go for a drive and find out. Under the hood, there's a 2-liter engine. It's not turbocharged or anything like that. It's just a naturally aspirated 2-liter engine. And because of that, it only produces 149 horsepower and 145 pound-feet of torque. But in all honesty, it's actually enough for everyday driving. Yes, you'll see the RPM needle jump to about 3,000 or 4,000 RPMs when you're trying to overtake someone on a highway or going up a very steep hill. But most of the time, it's actually enough power for you to just accelerate from a stoplight and go with the flow of traffic. Better yet, the engine is actually really fuel efficient. It's rated for 6.2 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway and 8.2 liters per 100 kilometers in a city. And during my time with the car, I have actually been able to average those numbers, or in between those two numbers, because I've been doing city and highway driving. Mated to the engine is, of course, what Nissan always likes to use, a CVT transmission, or continuously variable transmission. I personally do not like CVTs. Give me a regular automatic any day, or better yet, a manual. The Sentra is available with a manual on its lowest trim, so that's A+ in my book. But I'm actually okay with the CVT. It's nowhere near as bad as the older generation CVTs that Nissan first had in the 2000s or so. And I honestly cannot complain about it. It's actually really, really good. It responds really well when you give it some throttle and you accelerate. And it tries to keep the engine RPMs as low as possible for the best fuel economy. But by far, the biggest improvement has to be the way the Sentra handles. It's by no means a lightweight at almost 1,400 kilograms, but the firmer ride and steering weight make it much more enjoyable to drive when you toss it into a corner, or at least when you're pretending to be on a slalom. Step inside the Sentra and you'll notice that it is more spacious than the last. With a longer wheelbase and wider overall width, the inside offers much more room for occupants. That is unless you're not a tall adult like myself at 6'4" and you're relegated to the back seats. Headroom in particular is quite tight in those rear seats for taller individuals, but for the average person, I think you'll be just fine. Back to the front, it's all pretty well laid out. Obviously you have your infotainment up here with a few infotainment quick access buttons at the bottom. Climate control is really easy to understand and use. It's all buttons. It's not something that's buried inside the infotainment system. Further down, you have places to put your phone, USB ports. My only complaint are these cup holders, because while I have a medium Tim Hortons cup of coffee, hashtag sponsor me, and it does fit, my only concern is that it doesn't actually hold it in place. So if you take a corner a bit too fast, it could spill your coffee. The exterior of the 2020 Sentra continues with Nissan's current design language by incorporating what has to be the most aggressive iteration of the V-Motion grille to date. Paired with the LED daytime running lights and the LED headlights on this SR Premium trim, and the Sentra is a real head-turner. The rear though isn't quite as aggressive looking as the front, but in my eyes it still looks really good. And as for that exhaust pipe, it's real, unlike many other fakes that are on the market these days. So, back to the original question. Is the 2020 Nissan Sentra worth your hard-earned money? In all honesty, yes, I think it is worth it. It starts at $18,800 Canadian, which is more expensive than the Hyundai Elantra or the Mazda 3, which are its main competitors. But if you fully spec it like this one, it's $26,000 Canadian, which is actually less expensive than the Mazda in front-wheel drive form, not all-wheel drive form, and less expensive by quite a bit than the Hyundai Elantra, which is really surprising considering that you think that Hyundai gives you a lot of value for your money, but this time it's the Nissan that gives you value for your money. But anyway, if you want to know more about the 2020 Nissan Sentra, I wrote a very detailed review over on my website. Link is in the video description down below. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next car, or truck, or most likely it'll be an SUV. Anyway, thanks again. See you in the next car.